I love the dark. I love the shadow. That's where all the juice is. If I can love my bitch, if I can love my whore, if I can love my, I don't know, all the list goes on. But like, if I can love, I call it my hot mess, as much as my triumphant knock it out of the park gal, I'm free. I'm resisting nothing. I'm home.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Life by Design podcast. On this week's episode, I talk with intimacy expert Allana Pratt. Allana is a global media personality and the go-to authority for those who have suffered heartbreak and are ready to live unapologetically and attract an open-hearted, ideal relationship. She's been chosen as an icon of influence, is a columnist on the Good Men Project, and has been featured on Huffington Post, People Magazine, Forbes, CBS, ABC, Fox, and much more. I love this woman. We've even had some chats offline. I've been on her podcast as well. In this week's episode, we talk about intimacy, shadow work, being seen, polarity, loving yourself, and much, much more. Hope you enjoy the episode. Now, guys, before we start this week's episode of the podcast, I want to talk to you about the Life by Design Mastermind. The Life by Design Mastermind is the mastermind for go-getters and high achievers who are looking to create a more successful, fulfilling, and balanced life by design. If you're serious about transforming your life, achieving your goals, and living a life on your terms, then the Life by Design is your golden ticket. Head over to the show notes and click on the link for more details about the program. Allana Pratt, welcome to the podcast.
I am so happy to be here. It is so great to finally look in your eyes after all the emails for so long.
I am so happy with your general energy, which I want to, I'm sure I'm not the first person to say that, which I'm looking forward to unpacking, actually. You and I didn't speak about this off air, but I was just like, you know what, I'm going to find out more about her energy. But before we get into that, intimacy, breakthroughs, etc., can you give the guys a 60 to 90 second spiel of who you are and what's got you to where you are today?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm an intimacy expert. Into me, I see. It's really about this inner relationship. Can we be vulnerable with ourselves, or are we going to be a critical asshole, right? Are we going to be transparent? Are we going to be honest? Because if we can't do that with ourselves, we can't do that with our beloved. So I really help people who have had heartbreak to heal from that and be stronger from that, literally let their heart break open to be their most authentic, unapologetic self. And that goes into having, sacred sexuality. That goes into living your life purpose unabashedly, maybe parenting. You might not do it traditionally, but you're leading with your heart, whatever that is, just authentic, unapologetic, intimate relationship with yourself, the divine, and your beloved.
That was the most succinct intro I've seen so far. Have you practiced that before?
No. Did I win out of 71
you
episodes?
Won. You're the winner.
What did
Congratulations, you're the winner. Into me, I see. Beautiful thought for us to kick off with. Always, when I see someone super passionate about what they do, I'm interested in what got them into the passion that they have explored. Why are you passionate about intimacy?
Because I was not. I didn't even know I had an inside, Blake. Like I was spinning so fast on the outside, PhD and people pleaser, anything so that I'd be safe. It looked like getting love, getting approval, getting a great degree, getting the guy, but really the source of it all was like terror, just terror, like abuse growing up and all the rest of it. And I just needed to control my outside circumstances under every situation so that I could, and I thought that's what safety was, but it was really just coping. And then when I started to realize after divorce number 1, divorce number 2, 10-year custody battle, crazy shit going, Allana's the only one in common. Let's have a look there. And I realized I did not even know there was a little Allana inside. I did not have a relationship with myself. And when I started to look inside, I did not like what I saw. I was embarrassed. I was insecure. I was humiliated. I was sad, lonely. I was all these things that I did not want anyone to know that I was. So initially it made me spin even faster, trying to look good and do it right. And then I just, through a different series of events, mainly with the custody battle, I just fell to my knees. One day we'd had like a 10-year custody battle, and I'd lost my home and my savings, and I was in $250,000 of legal debt. Like, it was not a good scene, but at least my son loved me. And then one day he came over and said, I'm going to live with Dad full time. Don't stop me. I know what I'm doing. He did know what he was doing, because that's when the court battle ended, because Dad won. And I took the high road and let him live there. And that's when I had what I told my staff, okay, I need a cabin in the middle of nowhere. And I'm going to plan my nervous breakdowns Friday through Sunday, and I'm going to work Monday through Thursday. And I was committed to finding myself, because I'd lost everyone and everything dear to me, but who I'd really lost was me. And that's when this intimate relationship with little Allana started cultivated. And I've had a couple of direct experiences in my life, but I had one at that cabin where day after day I wrote down these sentences. Maybe my son will never call me again. Maybe I'll die alone, like the real ones. And then I started putting on either side of that sentence, even though everyone might opt out of Facebook and I might have no money and live in a shelter or whatever it was, I love and accept myself. And it started as a thought, but we all know that's not enough. That's like just the tip of the iceberg. As I integrated, I was the embodiment of that wholeness. Not like 24/7 perfect, but like I found it. I'm like, okay, this is it. This is what we're running from. Because when you first go inside, it doesn't feel good, but if you stay with it, it integrates and you're home. So that's what I now teach.
That breakdown, or I think you used the word nervous breakdown, before the breakthrough, what's the dialogue like for you in that moment? Because the way that you spoke of it was the losing of everything. Some might call it like a dark night of the soul. And it can be helpful if you know what's going on, but if you have no idea what's going on, it's actually really kind of scary at the time. What do you remember about your own inner conflict, inner world dialogue around that period of time for yourself?
It wasn't the beginning of my personal growth journey. So I'm in my 50s. I've been at this for 25 years. And even before my personal growth official journey began, I got certifications and all the rest of it. I'm from Canada. I was a dancer in Tokyo. And in between contracts, I would go to Thailand and backpack or Bali, etc. And I remember even back then knowing I was so insecure. All I could do was compare myself to the other women. I was very nervous with men's attention. And there's this misconception that showgirls are like confident, like farthest thing. We were all like bulimic and anorexic, and there were heroin addicts. And then there was good little Allana from Canada, the little good girl who, just taught English all day long and danced in the clubs at night. And so there I was in Thailand, Blake, and I decided that I was going to do this walk up and down the beach until I could just be free and not compare myself to others. Like, I just wanted to be at one with my body. And I was probably 21, 22 at the time. And so I triggered the shit out of myself. All I wore was a floss G-string. And I walked up and down this like 3 to 5 mile beach every single day. And I was sobbing because I was so insecure and I was so committed and I was so attached. So back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. No bueno, nothing. And then finally I turned around defeated. I'm just like, I guess I'm just going to be an insecure, schmuck the rest of my life. And it was the surrender. And all of a sudden the ground, there was no gravity. I was one with the droplets of water, with the waves. I was one with the sand. Everyone I looked at was like a bodhisattva. And when I was connecting to my body, there wasn't a separation. Body, mind, and spirit, one. And then it went away. But I tasted truth. I tasted it. So all those years later, when I was at that cabin and I had my nervous breakthrough, I knew I had touched source. I had touched truth. I had touched God. I had touched the universe. I had touched it. So I knew I wasn't going to die. And I knew something about facing your fears and surrendering. Intimacy with the moment, intimacy with the feelings, intimacy with little you, intimacy with your heart, whatever you want to call it, the sensations and the emotions. Go there. And there will be transformation. Because I'm a cum laude graduate of an Ivy League school. I'm super smart. Does shit all. For any of this intimacy. Yeah, it's the body. Yeah.
As someone who you mentioned the kind of good girl persona, I guess, and even your general upbeat warm, bubbly energy. How do you navigate the other side? Some might call the shadow side, but if that's the persona that no doubt, just as I did, positively gets reinforced, how have you navigated the other parts of yourself?
I love the dark. I love the shadow. That's where all the juice is. If I can love my bitch, if I can love my whore, if I can love my, I don't know, all the list goes on. But like, if I can love, I call it my hot mess, as much as my triumphant knock it out of the park gal, I'm free. I'm resisting nothing. I'm home. Like, bring it. You can like me or not like me. I prefer you like me, but it's really going to be okay if you don't. Because I've practiced liking, loving, accepting. I guess we start with allowance. Or maybe even like, I don't really want to talk to you, but you can sit at the table. Fine. You kind of get to know that part of yourself.
This is so good. This point is so significant because the positive chat for some people seems so far-fetched of loving yourself. And I love what you just did. Like, if that seems too extreme, what's this first step? I love where you're about to go with this. This is really good.
Thank you for acknowledging that. I literally call it my little you process. And I imagine she's in a dark chamber of my heart and I locked her in a cabinet and I hit her over with a 2x4 and I haven't fed her in a couple decades. So she's really upset and really parched. And I go in there and I go in and then I close the door and I throw away the key. Because I used to go in with a strategy. We've got to like feel better and look good and get the guy and get the money and all. And that clearly didn't work. So I go in and then I apologize. I have been such a bitch to you. I've criticized you. I've abandoned you. I've blamed you. I've made you the nemesis of my whole, oh my God, you're just scared. You're just abandoned or you're pissed or whatever you are. You're ashamed and I'm making it worse. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. How can I make up for the damage done? And the commitment that I will stay with you for eternity, even if you never change. That's the last piece. Because otherwise it's a strategy. And when I really mean it, like even if you're a hot mess forever, fine, I love you. I love you without condition. I love you unconditionally. And you mean it. That's the moment of grace. That's the moment of magic. That's the moment of transformation. Because there's not one stitch of agenda there. It's like I give. And then that part of me comes home and goes, really? Do you really love me even if I'm a hot mess forever? I go, yeah. She's like, well, I don't like being a hot mess. It's really very uncomfortable. Can we go be successful now or happy? I'm like, sure. Right. But it's that aspect's choice from my willingness to unconditionally love the part of me I don't want anyone to see.
When it comes to intimacy, you talk about 2 previous marriages. Where did intimacy kind of let you down and why? Like, what was the real catalyst for you diving deep into this?
Yeah. First husband, tall, dark, and handsome, multimillionaire, baby. I mean, like, how do you get better than that? So, he was like a Wall Street guy. I was the dancer and model in Tokyo. And I'm just like, I really thought I would never do any better. Like, who else is ever going to love me like this? I never even asked if I loved him. I never even asked if I chose him. I just felt the safety of somebody choosing me. So he's a great guy, but there was no depth. There was no heart connection. And it was a daddy issue. So we tried 6 years and therapy and workshops, etc., but it didn't work. Second marriage, mom was dying of cancer and I didn't want to feel my feelings. And my dad had remarried and my sister was about to remarry and I was all by myself. And I just thought, okay, a man is a plan, a man and a baby is a plan. And we got married like in Vegas. Mom died. I got pregnant. Like it was, and there's like, oh my God, I did it again. He was really angry because his heart was closed. But who attracted a closed heart? A closed heart, me, right? So that was the one that went into the 12-year custody battle. Because after a year, I said, oh my God, I did it again. And I divorced him. And then from his point of view, I lied. I said it would be forever and it wasn't. I humiliated him and he sought revenge. So I'm not condoning his behavior, but I understand it because I didn't consciously set out to use him. I loved him, but I loved him as much as a closed heart could love someone, right? Because I didn't even love me. So that was probably the biggest wake up call for me to go, okay, I need to really start doing this work and learn to love myself and learn to love. It's really easy to love our, successful parts, but what the hell is it going to take to love these parts that I'm so ashamed of? And I feel so out of control. And I don't really like you very much, God. You're a meanie. Like, took my mom away. My best friend died when I was 16. Like, there's been some things I don't trust you, universe. I can't hear my own intuition. And I'm terrified. And this is a fucking shitty place to live. Like, I had to really come to terms with all of it. But the gift is when one comes home and has those direct experiences with ourself, when we really stop resisting ourselves. I see it like little Russian dolls. Like, there's little Allana, and then there's big Allana, and then there's the universe. And we've all got each other's back. And it's like, oh, I don't need your approval. It'd be cool if you liked me, but I don't need it. I would prefer this, that, and the other, but I'm okay putting one foot in front of the other. If my book doesn't get published for 3 years, or if only my grandma reads it, like, it's okay. I don't need to be on Oprah. And that's a really freeing, delicious way to live. And it's very sexy and attractive to others because you don't need to manipulate yourself. So you're not going to manipulate them. And it leads to people. This is what my clients often say. I can't believe I'm telling you this. I've never told anybody this. I haven't even told myself this. Like, how is this happening? And I really believe it's a reflection of, I'm willing to sit with little you forever and never change her. And I'm willing to sit with them forever and never judge them or change them either. And that's I think, Blake, we just want to be seen and gotten for who we are and not changed right at the end of the day. And that's what this intimacy work provides. You bring that into the bedroom, like, look out. You bring that into the boardroom and you speak your truth and you get the investor money. Like, you're just authentic, and it's very attractive.
Could not agree more. Well said. So when you think about relating for you pre and post this intimacy journey, how are things different for you, whether that's intimate or even like general connections, business connections, etc.?
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever get there. But I'm always a work in progress, which I think is what makes me very safe for my clients and how we can go so deep so fast. Because if I'm on fire, I will let them know. And if I'm in the fetal position all morning and I show up with no makeup for the call, that's how I show up. And they're like, you can take the day off. I go, no, I tell you when I need to take the day off. I don't show up unless I can serve you, but I don't need to be perfect. So it's been magnificent. It's sort of, what does he say? The wheat and the chaff. Like, it really separates the boys from the men, the women from the girls or whatever. Like, anybody who wants to do fakey fake, you can't do that with me. And I can see you because I've seen my own fakey fake. And so I make people either very uncomfortable or very inspired. So
both are perfect.
What's that?
Both are perfect.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Because you just get to hang out with your people, your tribe. It gets very simple and very connected. I was just in Mexico for a retreat last week with my clients, and they're my family and they all love each other and we all go deep together and we have each other's back and we're exponentially better together. It's amazing. Yeah. I'm so grateful.
Being seen is for me probably one of the most common themes that come hand in hand with intimacy. But what are the other byproducts of you and your style in terms of the feedback that you get from your clients? Like, what's the recurring themes in terms of the way that you show up as a coach for them?
I have this blend of being so straight, but I always joke, I'm like, oh, it doesn't get good until you say, fuck you, Allana. Like, because I'll say something really like intense, like direct, but I'll be playful or I'll swear, or I'll be sexy. I'll do something like that. And they can't hate me, but I know they want to. And then I said, it's okay. You can say, fuck you. It's okay. And they're like, no, but you're right. I hate you that you're right. And we laugh a lot. And so it's I just know how to dance with people to kind of get through the walls. I know when to be tender. I know when to shut the fuck up. I know when to be straight. And it's taken 20, 25 years of practice. I certainly wasn't born this way, but it's kind of how I am with myself. I don't know about you, but if you fall off the exercise routine or you drink a little too much wine for a week, like I slow down. I go, okay, what's going on? What are you avoiding? And how do I need to be with myself? Do I need to have a big cry? Do I need to have I call it the theater of redemption. It's one of my processes where I imagine chopping somebody into pieces. Like, what do I need to do to get back to me? I think that politically incorrect, not playing by the rules, and everybody's so different. There's no hope in hell my clients would ever have met otherwise, but they all heard a podcast or a summit, or they heard me do a speech or something. And they were like, she's real and she's not trying to impress anybody. And I feel safe and I don't understand why. You mentioned at the beginning, my energy. It's palpable that I give myself permission to love my clients, and they feel that. And sometimes the relationships we have in our coaching relationship in our community are literally closer than anything they've ever experienced in their families growing up. And they're like, okay, so if that's real, then I can have that. I can create that in my beloved relationship and transform it and awaken it. Or I can have the courage and kindness to bless and release that partner because I know there's more. I'm living it. I'm tasting it. So I think that's one of the differentiators. I'm very much about inside first. Intimacy is an inside job. We become the one. And that helps us find the one, this one, which then we find that one. And then that's how we keep the one, thrive with the one. It's a skill. We never just, oh, now I've found you and I'm not going to keep evolving. And then we get stagnant and then it's all their fault. And then all of a sudden I've got another couple coming to me to work with me because they've forgotten to continue to cultivate that intimacy with self, that becoming the one, and being curious about who we are as we evolve.
For the blokes who, no doubt for many of them, are more shit scared of intimacy than just about anything else in their life, what would be the place that, someone might start if they're like, yeah, I know that's where I need to go and I'm shit scared? Where do you think is a good spot for them to start?
Oh my God, I fucking love men so much. I used to coach women. And then you've heard about the divorces and all the rest of it. So the universe was like, okay, Allana needs a little help with men because I was getting a little bitter, Blake. And then I did this interview with Eben Pagan, David D'Angelo, Double Your Dating. It was my very first interview ever for men. And I heard what came out of my mouth was this apology for emasculating you, apology for blaming you, withholding sex, like cold shoulder, focusing on that. Like it just poured out of me. And then I said, and I want to tell you, after it sunk in, I said, I want to tell you why. When you're not present, I'm terrified. I close my heart. I go up into my head and I'm going to kill you before you kill me, right? It's like fight or flight or freeze. Like it's like game on. I said, and I'm not condoning my behavior at all. I'm just telling you, I need to surrender into you. You're the banks of the river for me. And if you're not there, I'm going to turn into the masculine and probably a bitch. But I explained that second. First, I apologized because nobody deserves to be treated with cruelty or unkindness. There's no excuses for that ever. And so what that opened up was this relationship to be able to share with them how I'm not perfect, but become the best woman is this relationship with little you. And when I take gentlemen through this little you process, whether they listen to it just in a recording on my digital products or whether it's live one-on-one or in the group, to get a guy to feel and really go, oh my God, there's a little me in there. I mean, I've had like 50, 60, 7-year-old men crying with me because they're like, I'm just achieving and performing and protecting and providing. I just don't stop. I go, yeah, and he's really lonely. And he just needs you to say, hey, buddy, I got you. Put your arm around him, noogie, like have this relationship with little you. That's like the biggest step. And when that happens, I also say, I don't trust a man who can't cry. And I don't trust a man who's never fallen, because anybody can be successful. But I want to know a man who's fallen and gotten back up again. I want to know a man who can feel his feelings and not shame himself so that I'll feel safe to be vulnerable too. And so it's this, and it seems to all come down to this relationship with little you. Like if you can get that there's an inner place for you to be kind and patient and forgiving and vulnerable. And yeah, if you can do that with yourself, that to me, then you're now in the realm of noble badass, right?
I haven't heard that term. I like it a lot.
Thank you.
How have you gone? I don't know your relationship status, but how have you gone relating as you've done more and more of this work? I assume correct me if I'm wrong, it'd be quite polarizing in terms of the depth that is possible, and also quite challenging for men who haven't done the work.
Yeah. I've literally been told I scare the shit out of them. So I'm like, okay, I'm really nice, but I'm deep and I'm big and I'm wide and I'm real, and I'm going to say what there is to be said. So yeah, I've been single a lot, Blake, to be really honest. I'm just reconnecting with somebody I dated, get this, 10 years ago.
Mm.
And the timing looks like it's a lot. Well, he had little kids. I had little kids. We lived in different states, but now our kids are grown. So we're having a boo at it. But it's sort of lonely at the top, they say. That's the statement, right? There are less and less conscious people. But I sincerely believe if you're on the planet and you choose relationship, your partner's there. I don't believe God, the universe, is out to get us. I don't believe, I mean, life is unfair, let's be honest. But I believe we can create anything we want, that anything's possible. I'm a science geek. I interview all the quantum physicists, like ask and it's given. That's the Bible, but it's also the feedback loop, of the field. So you'll find her. You'll find her. And don't settle. Don't you dare settle. Because when you settle, your purpose, the light of your purpose goes out. And she's not your purpose. Your purpose is your purpose. But she can be the fuel. And here's what I've been discovering as I've gotten older. I used to be like broken, we'll call it, wounded. And my wound attracts the other wound. And you're my soulmate. Divorce, right? Like that's the old way I did it. And I'm like, oh, got some work to do to be whole. Not perfect, but whole. And then whole and whole, one and one. Here's what the crazy thing was. Half and half equals one. That's the old bullshit relationship. 1 and 1 does not equal 2. 1 and 1 equals infinity. 2 whole people literally awaken the best in one another, these dormant evolutionary qualities that only a whole person and a whole person together can awaken. So it's like 1 and 1 is infinity for humanity, for consciousness. It's like epic. And I believe this can happen professionally and romantically and friends and all of it, where there's just people you're around where you're more. They see you, but they awaken you, and they don't tell you to. They just love you, and they're healthy, so they don't need to control you. And those kind of relationships romantically, like, bring it. So that's what I'm a stand for. That's what I literally help couples go from soulmate to wholemate. I call it Heartmate. That's the name of my app, Heartmates. But this is possible if everyone will evolve. Most of the time, it's not at the same pace, but sometimes it is.
Have you found, just to kind of come back to my question before, feeling into obviously the work that you do and the energy that you put forward, I assume it's probably for some guys in your previous relating experience, equal parts safety and equal parts scared, because there's such a safety in you and being seen, which also is like this double-edged sword of being scared. Is that what you've experienced?
Fucking brilliant. Totally, completely. That was my last relationship. Yeah. Totally loved how safe he felt, but it completely triggered his wound to push me away. Yeah. 100%. 100%. But the potential's there because he was my wound too. He was that, safe place, daddy wound for me too. And then it didn't turn out so well. But I think if we can remember that we are evolution itself, intimacy itself. I mean, there's intimacy between molecules to make a cell, and a cell to make it, like, that's all intimacy. That's all like, oh, I like you. Let's make something bigger. And like 1 and 1 equals infinity. Oh, that's evolution. So if we can remember that we're evolving all the time and we're going to attract somebody that's going to go, it's going to be uncomfortable, but that's not wrong. That's right. That's good. That's brilliant, because your blind spots are going to be flushed up. And if you can have enough of this relationship with self, this intimate relationship with self, and just shut the fuck up and not blame them for everything and take ownership and do your work. I mean, we could have wholemate relationships all over this planet, Blake. That's like what I'm here for. That's the stand that I am.
Fuck, I love your energy. Talk to me about a wholemate and a heartmate. What are these things that you talk of?
Yeah, well, the wholemate is what I was saying. 1 and 1 is infinity, right? So the amazing Dr. Mark Gaffney and Barbara Marks Hubbard, I remember just the week before she died, I was speaking to her and I said, you know what? I have oneness with God, Barbara, and I have oneness with myself, but shit, if I can find a guy, like I just can't seem to get this right. And that's when she literally let me know about this whole mate concept. And she really believes that humanity's DNA is evolving into this, that as we evolve, we're going out of it's a me into a we. And then as I was developing my app, my clients always complain, like, where are the conscious ones? Where are the ones that when there's, uncomfortable conversation, they lean in and open up? And I said, I don't know, because dating apps are designed to keep you single, because the business model, you make money when they fail at love. You don't make money when they win at love, because then there's nobody left on the app. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to create the world's first partnering app. And everybody dating is also doing the work to become the one, to find the one, to keep the one. And then I'm going to be there as the founder who actually fucking cares. And I'm going to answer your questions. And I'm going to pop in with live little Q&A from time to time. And right now I'm actually putting together a docu-series and a documentary. Like, I am literally going to go around the world and meet these people and help them, because I have that much love and energy in me to help them begin to experience what I am experiencing, and what I believe is all of our birthright is this whole mate relationship. So the app is called Heartmates. Oh my God. And that's been a challenge. Lord knows, if I'd known how hard it was to build an app, I probably wouldn't have done it. But my love and light is guiding me. But we've launched it twice and failed. So we're in our third time's the charm. But the curriculum is solid. We have these incredible conscious connection calls, which we teach the dyad. It's a form of communication that I've learned for, my God, 20 years now. And basically it's a question. Tell me something you like about me. And the other person will tell you something they like about you. And then your job is to only say, thank you. And then you switch. So that's the simple one. Tell me something you like about me. But then you get a little deeper. Tell me a way you like to be loved. But you only get to say thank you. No interrupting. No, well, you said last time. You're like, nope. So it becomes this impeccably safe, intimate place to speak truth, to practice profound listening. And it's this cocoon of intimacy. Tell me something you're afraid to tell me. Tell me something you want me to understand that you think I just don't understand. Tell me something about you and oral sex. Tell me something about you and your ailing parents. Like, you can go anywhere with these questions, and they build incredible intimacy. So that's also what's in the partnering app, is like every single week we get on with initially a stranger. But let me tell you, when you talk with somebody for 30 minutes, this deep right out of the gate in the safe structure of thank you, people fall in love or they make great friends, or they make new business partners. But like this, they get trained, not on that date when it's, so much is on the line, but it's a training. It's a training for us and as a community. So it's relaunching for the third time this summer. And I can't wait to, really go full board with this, because I didn't know, but this is why I've been put on the planet.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's really interesting that you speak of, whether you want to call it conscious relating. It's like, I'd probably get it once a fortnight, like where are the guys at my end, and being in, obviously this kind of work and of this interest, it's something that's, to be honest, it's probably the number one challenge that I get in terms of feedback of, like, one, where are these guys? And two, if I value growth really highly and my partner doesn't, like, what are the chances of it working? Which is a really interesting question that I haven't been able to find a succinct answer, other than to say it can work. And it's also a lot easier to work if you've got similar values as well. What have you found to be some of the challenges in relating for those that are, I guess, conscious?
It's interesting. The more important the other person is to you, the harder it is to be authentic, because it's a bigger risk if they reject you, right? And so we've got these, I work with some couples, and she just today on the call, she was like, there he is being like totally authentic and intimate with that person and totally authentic with that person. Then with me, he like shuts up. I said, because you're the love of his life. And your rejection hurts 10 times more than anyone else's. So for her to get cranky about it pushes him away. He feels judged and wrong. And I said, so it's not fair, but life isn't fair. So let's get over that quick. And you need to be even more inviting, even more alluring, even more patient, even softer, even though you're lonely as hell, jealous, and it hurts. He's not going to be brave and courageous, la cour, the heart. He's not going to open his heart. If you're unkind, he's going to shut it. He's going to go into his head. He's going to avoid you, whatever. So we have to be even braver. And again, it comes all the way back. Like if we can't be that with ourselves, if we haven't had that muscle of, oh my God, I'm ashamed. I think I'll go drink. Social media. No, I think I'll go cry. I think I'll go like for a walk, whatever. Like if we can't be that with ourselves and have that muscle, then in those moments in a relationship, it's so much easier to blame rather than take that beat. Oh, baby, it was so great seeing you talk to all those people. I saw how you lit up the room. I cannot wait to be with you tonight and light up our bedroom and just lay in your arms. Tell me everything. Like that's going to take something when you're jealous and lonely and depleted and you miss him. So that's what I would say to the ladies and to the gentlemen. Women, generally, we have to be the man and the woman kind of in the world. We've got to, provide, and we've got to be on our own, but then we've got to switch and then sort of surrender and be all feminine. It's really hard. Even mothering is masculine. It's a lot of doing, a lot of protecting. It's very masculine, even though we're a woman. So if a woman's been being a mom all day or at work all day or both, she's no surrendering. She's in go mode. So you got to be understanding of that. You got to be patient with that. You got to be more masculine than her, with the hand not in her ass first, the small of her back first. Okay. Because then she'll just lose her shit, because then she just feels like a piece of meat, not a work of art. So you got to get where she's at, bring her into her body safely. A woman's arousal is 20 minutes. We don't start with a nipple. No, we don't go there. Okay. Give her time and she will blossom and open. And you will be her hero. And that's going to take something when you're jealous she's been spending all the time with the kids, not you, or you haven't had as much sex as you want, and she's been kind of cranky and again, not fair. And it's not about fair. It's about you get to be in a relationship. A lot of people die. A lot of people are single. Like you get to work on this. So be grateful. Do the work with yourself. Take that beat and then be your best self with your partner. And those are like the amazing epic relationships where they're just leaders and being inspirational just by how they are with each other. And that's what I choose to have and what I have the pleasure of coaching with my beautiful clients.
What do you see as you mentioned there kind of masculine, feminine briefly and surrendering. How do you see the state of masculine and feminine in 2023? What's working and what's not?
Oi. I don't want to talk. Poor men. Toxic masculinity. My God, poor men. Yeah, I would just prefer to let all the labels go and really go, okay, we're all hurting. We're all lonely. We're all scared. I mean, everything is uncertain. It always has been, but it's like really in our face uncertain. So have some generosity of spirit with each other. And really make your own intimate relationship with yourself, not something you do on the side, like when you get around to it. No, like foundational. I believe intimacy, our intimate relationship with ourselves, is the core fundamental building block of our self-realization. If we aren't home in ourself, we don't have a hope in hell, physically, mentally, spiritually, vocationally, financially, parentally, socially, romantically, sexually, all the areas. The hub of it all is, am I home in my skin? Can I be in allowance of all and judgment of nothing? Even if I don't like it, even if I can't control it, can I stay open in my heart? Which is scientifically smart because it brings the best of your brain. You can hear your intuition. It's like a good thing to do. But can I keep my heart open in the face of anything? That's our foundation. And if we don't make that our foundation, the state of the world is really challenging. But if we make that our morning practice, if it's just a little 3-minute little practice in the morning, one hand on the heart, one hand on your balls, or whatever, your pussy ladies, who's ever listening to this, just go, hi, body. How are you? Oh, the tension is in your shoulders. Okay, shoulders, what's going on there? Like, or it's an emotion. Oh God, I'm terrified. Like, just be with yourself. Just practice being with yourself. That's it. You don't have to fix anything. You don't have to go anywhere, but just begin to have your body and your being know that you're aware, that you care, and that you're there. That just 3 minutes, morning and night, bookend your day. That's presence. That's truth. Soon will be insights and wisdom. Then with an open heart, courage to act, and the whole day goes better. But if you don't have either of those practices, and I would encourage more than 3 minutes, but we'll just start with like the basics. If you don't have those practices, the slightest things trigger you, and you can be used and manipulated romantically or professionally. And then you blame everybody else. And then heaven forbid, some people just say, I'm out of here, Yeah.
What are some of the challenges in particular with men that they find hard as they step into this new world of intimacy?
I'm thinking of all the wonderful couples that came to my retreat it was couples and singles, but there was five couples. One, he feels that feeling is weak, crying is weak. And so he just shuts his wife away. He shuts himself away until he's back into his perfect. And she just yearns for him to be the warrior on the battlefield that had a shitty day and came home and put his head against her breast. And she was his safety. She wants that so much. And he just pushes her away. So we practiced feeling and teaching him that if you feel a feeling, an emotion, it doesn't take very long, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, maybe 30 for a really big one, it shifts. Sometimes it gets worse. Sometimes it gets better. We don't know quite where the journey is going to go, but if you stay with it long enough, you always get back to stillness. Not calm, check out, disassociation, not that. True, embodied, everything's okay. And so I did a process with him in front of everybody at the retreat, and he was not thrilled because everybody saw that he was weak, including the guys. And by the end of it, the other guys were like, wow, man, you're amazing. His wife was bawling in tears. And at one point, halfway through the exercise, I go, can she put her hand on your leg? Nope. I'm like, okay, let's honor him. It's his own pace, right? So it takes practice. It takes time. Another gentleman is divorcing someone else, and he's been with this. It's been a long divorce, and they're still not divorced. And he doesn't want to disappoint anybody. Doesn't want to disappoint his new fiance. He doesn't want to disappoint his wife that he loves, but it's just not working. And he's just so caught up in, if I disappoint someone. And so for him, it's like, so your worth is still outside in if you can't be with another being disappointed in you, rejecting you, blaming you, whatever. This is your next job, to go even deeper with little you inside and go, even if they reject you, I will not reject little you. Even if they don't get it, I get you. Even if they blame you for everything, I honor the brave truth that you're living. I go, it's even deeper inside of you. So those are some of the challenges that I've seen. Yeah. And then the other part was what we talked about earlier, which is that your partner's going to trigger your unhealed wounds. Get ready. That's how it's designed. That's the beauty of a relationship. So don't be shocked by that. There's nothing wrong. Take ownership, do the work, and grow closer through conflict.
I find that last point one of the biggest differences in relationships, where people are potentially more aware and seeing that really just as a mirror as opposed to a problem. Is that kind of what you've seen in your work?
Yeah. The retreat prior, I asked them, I go, what annoys you the most about your partner? And then they all said it. I go, and where are you that? No. And I'm like, well, let's have a look. And I went through all the different areas of their life, and they could start to own it. And then I said, or even according to someone else's point of view. Back to that story about my son's father, I called him, he did something and I called him a lying, conniving fuckhead. And my coach at the time said, and where are you that? Well, no, I am Miss Coachy Coach. I am perfect. And then I saw from his point of view, I said I'd marry him. And then I divorced him and I humiliated him. So from his point of view, I'm a lying, conniving fuckhead. And when we can really own that I am you, you are me, we are one. Nobody's better than each other. And that we have our own stuff too. Then it doesn't condone what our partner does, but it takes all the sting and the trigger away, and compassion can flow, and self-ownership and growth can emerge. And there was a lot of chuckles by the end of that exercise. But in the beginning, it was pretty rocky.
I've loved this chat so much. Where, if people want to explore you, the work that you do, where's the best spot for them to find you?
Well, they can watch the podcast that you're going to be on
Yes.
soon. Yes, Intimate Conversations, Soul Medicine. That is our theme, my 11th season. So that's one place. Lots of resources there. My site is my name, allanapratt.com. There's an intimacy blind spot assessment, totally complimentary. I can't see my blind spots. Nobody can see your blind spots. They're blind spots. And so taking that quiz gives you some insight into, oh, I've been blaming this as the reason. But clearly, if I could have figured out the reason, I would have fixed it. So it gives you insight. And it's kind of like a pill to swallow. You're like, oh, it's going to require self-ownership and maturity, spiritual maturity. But you can take your power back and you know the direction to go for work. You can talk with me in an intimacy breakthrough experience call. I have 6 books. I've got meditations. Got an incredible community of clients. So lots of ways to play.
I'm actually focused on intimacy at the moment. So I'm looking forward. I've literally just written down your intimacy blind spot self-assessment. So I'll let you know how I get on.
Yeah. And it's really, I do like intimacy apprentice, intimacy craftsman, craftswoman, intimacy master artist of intimacy. And no matter where we are, there's a blind spot. So we never get there, Even though this is my job, I'm regularly humbled. But that's good because that's encourages all my clients to keep growing. Like we never get there. And that's beautiful. Like to look at your partner through the eyes of the divine, curiously, like you've never met them before. It's a practice. It's a choice. It's a point of view. But when you do, they feel so seen, so heard. It's delicious. Yeah.
Thank you again for coming on, talking all things intimacy, and no doubt both men and women that listen to this will get plenty from the episode.
Thank you for having me. So good to be together.